Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I'm your host, Tim, the Powerful Man, Matthews. And here with me today is one of the latest and greatest members on the team. And you're going to find out in a moment why Ben's joined the team, why we chose him over many others, because he's going to speak into the topic today of how to not be needy in a relationship. He's experienced a lot of this in his life. So here I am with Mr. Ben Allen. How you doing, Ben?
Hey, thank you, Tim, for that intro. I'm really excited to be on the podcast today and to share some value from my life, of stuff that I've experienced through building multiple social circles. I've moved around a ton in my life in different places, and so I've had to reset sort of every time I've moved to a new city and learned a ton of lessons along the way. So I'm really excited to share some stuff with you guys today.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, when you said that this was the topic you wanted to bring, I could definitely relate to not necessarily what we're going to dive into in terms of tactics, but just the idea of becoming needy in a relationship. And I think it's something that a lot of guys can very easily fall into the trap of. You know, we've spoken about it on previous podcasts where the guys are often so focused on building the business, and when they come home really exhausted, quite frankly, with nothing really left to give, they often, over time, fall into this trap of becoming a nice guy at home. Hey, what do you want for dinner, babe? Oh, whatever you want. What do you want to watch on TV? Oh, you decide. And as this goes on, you know, year after year, and they feel their woman pulling away, that's where some of the guys can then go and start being needy as well to try and win her back. And in the worst case, right, if you imagine a pendulum, for so long the men are focused on the business. So let's say business is the left-hand side and the pendulum's on the left. When they realize there's a problem in the relationship, it swings all the way over to the right-hand side and they go there, thinking that the way to win her back is to shower her with affection or gifts or whatever it is, but in the process of doing so, it can have the opposite effects because it can become a little bit needy, and women sense that, don't they?
Yeah, no, they do. And especially if you're trying to get your needs met from your partner instead of meeting those needs yourself. So a really big epiphany for me was, when I moved to New York City a while ago, I had to essentially start a whole new social circle from scratch. And I was dating this woman, and I didn't have a social circle at the time. So I had no guy friends to hang out with. I didn't have that social life. And I started to become really needy in the relationship. It started to become, hey, what do you want to do? Hey, how can I support you today? Like all this needy stuff that then eventually led to her feeling separated from me. And the interesting part was, once I started to build up my friendships in that city and started to actually get those groups of guy friends, I no longer needed my needs met from my woman, and I was able to get it met from my social circle and from the guys that I was hanging out with and the people in my life. And so that shift, I think, was really beneficial for me, and that actually helped the relationship and moved it along, which was really awesome. So that was a really interesting shift for me, was going from having my needs for certain things met by my woman, instead of having them met by outside external things or internal things even, but outside friendships and relationships that could meet those needs, so that when I bring it back to my woman, she doesn't feel that neediness coming off of me.
Yeah, it's huge. And look, it's an easy trap to fall into as well, isn't it? Right? You, as guys, I can remember when I was there, I didn't even realize I was doing it. I just thought I was being a nice guy, in fact. But as I say that out loud now, I think, God, that's the last thing women want for the most part. And it's also unfair, right, to put such a burden on the woman to fulfill all of your needs. Because the reality is, there are certain needs that you can only have met by being around other men and having certain camaraderie and certain conversations and certain connections with other men. And like you said, when you then take that back into the relationship, you return to that relationship full, right? And it reminds me of a conversation I was having. Obviously, you're aware that Amelia and I have been working with an intimacy coach for a while. And a while ago. I can't remember when it was. We got into the topic of needs, in fact, and I was really torn because I didn't want to come across as being selfish in the relationship. And she said to me, Tim, it's absolutely key that you, this weekend, take a day for yourself and go and have your needs be met. You get to obviously say to Amelia what you're going to do and make sure that maybe she's taken care of before you leave, and let her know when you're going to be coming back. And it's not that you don't want to be with her. It's just that you've got certain things that you need to go and take care of for yourself. And the framing of that I thought was really great as well, because it's not like you're taking off in a huff or in frustration, but just by saying, hey, I've got some things I need to go take care of for me. It's like it breeds confidence and independence to a woman. And what the coach was saying to me, she went, Tim, it's so sexy for a woman to see their man say, do you know what? I don't need you. I've got some things over here that I need to get that you can't give me. And you go there and then you return full. It's one of the sexiest things women can experience from their man.
Yeah, and it's an interesting mindset shift too, because you think by doing that, you're actually not serving her because you're like, oh, I'm being by myself. But in fact, it's actually selfless because you're able to show up fully more to your woman once you've met those needs. So it's like you said, it's completely the opposite of what a lot of guys think.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, another thing that I think is super, super important is to have time on your calendar to spend with just the boys or to spend with just your group of guy friends. Have a day or a weeknight or a weekend day where you are going out and doing activities with your guy friends, because that you're going to get insights. You're going to be able to talk to them about problems you're going through that your other guy friends are facing. You're going to be able to share and have shoulders to lean on. You're going to be able to get those emotional needs met outside of your relationship in a way where you come back and you're like, oh, I'm ready to take on this relationship again, it will help you weather the storm of relationships. And, if you're having a tough day in your relationship, being able to go see your guy friends and sort of detach and then come back even more pumped up and full and ready to go is really, really beneficial. So,
yeah, for sure. And, I think one of the things here as well, because some guys might be listening to this and saying, hey, look, I get what you're saying, but I just can't imagine myself going and hanging out with my guy friends and sharing the problems or things I'm facing in my relationship, which I totally get, because for a long time, the only guy friends I had in my life were the kind of guys that I'd go down the pub with, and they'd all be, they wouldn't necessarily be talking very positively about different aspects of life, either complaining about the job, complaining about the wife. And it kind of dragged me down, to be honest. It was more of a drain than a charge. And often these conversations only came out after a few beers, right? And it wasn't until I actually found a group of guys, and to be honest, I used Doug and Arthur and you guys, the guys in the team, a lot to be able to do this, whether it's in person or just a phone call. It doesn't really matter. In some respects, obviously, you want to make sure you go out of the relationship here. I'll use me as an example. I don't have a lot of guy friends around me in physicality where I can remove myself from the relationship and go and surround myself in their presence. But what I can do is remove myself from the relationship to go and have my needs met, and during that time, be on my own and either give one of my friends a call or go for a coffee and be on Zoom with them or whatever. It's very easy to be in the vicinity of guys like this. So for me, I saw a massive difference when I was able to surround myself with other men where I could open up if I needed to. It didn't need to be every time I opened up, but even being able to go and have banter, good old male banter where you just, taking snipes at one another. It's great. And like you said, it's often at the Alpha Reset and the events and stuff when I get together with the team. I return back from those trips. I say trips, obviously they're events, but we get time either side, right? I return back from those trips just so full, exhausted and full, empty and full at the same time. It's a really great thing. And I'll tell you what, Ben, one of the things that I really struggled with as well early on was understanding what to actually do. to go and have my needs be met, right? So there's one thing just spending time with guys, and there's another thing being intentional with the time you spend with guys, right? Versus what I used to do is just, operate by default and just go down to the pub and kind of just see what happened there. Whereas now I'll intentionally create the kind of time and experience I want to have with my guy friends. And it's because one of the biggest shifts for me that's helps me to do this is because I've also figured out what I like to do, what my needs are, what needs I have to have met. And I think for a lot of guys listening, I don't know if you experienced this, often they have lost themselves in business so much that they've just lost touch with a lot of the guy friends as well. And they've also lost touch with themselves. And they don't even understand what their needs are or what needs they need to have met. So if we were to say, hey, Ben, right, you're taking Saturday for yourself. It's going to be all about you, filling your cup, meeting your needs. What are you going to go and do? Most guys, it'd be like, they'd have to think about it. And I get it. The first few times I did, I had to think about it too. It was tough because my life had become so much about my business back then. But it's so important if you want to not be needy and look to the woman in your life to play every role and meet every need, then you've got to have this in place. So it's a great topic. And I'm kind of curious. Did you find yourself in a similar position at first as well, where you were, because there's a journey, right? It's not as simple as, hey, I formed new social circles.
Right.
I was then just around guys who, were meeting my needs. There's a journey and a pathway to that, right? So what advice, if the guys are listening to this, right, and they maybe don't have any men around them that they know of currently, who they could go and have some quality time with, what would your advice be to those guys?
Absolutely. And it's really, really important to first become aware. And the first step before you even go out and meet people is becoming aware of the types of people you want to meet. So get out a sheet of paper and write down, hey, what are the qualities I want in a friend? What is a good friend to me? Is it someone who's honest? What do they value? Do they value honesty? Do they value adventure? Do they value this? Do they value that? And really define what that ideal friend is. Because if you just go out and random and meet people, you might meet people who don't align with your vision and your goals and your path. And that's just going to hold you back. So that was a mistake I made for a while, was I just left my social circles up to chance, right? And then I would end up 3 months down the road seeing like, oh my God, these people are holding me back. What's going on here? And then it was because I wasn't coming at it from an intentional place, from an intentional place where I sat down and I defined, okay, these are the types of qualities I want in a friend. And then once you define that and you have like those qualities, you want to remind yourself of the qualities every day. As a part of your morning, evening routine, like this is the friend I'm looking for. This is the type of person. So that when you go out, you sort of have a compass. It's almost like you have a guiding force to guide you towards the people that will actually fulfill your needs and desires. And then you can actually go out and you can ask yourself, hey, where do these types of people hang out? Mm-hmm. Right? If, for example, if you're super into hiking, right? Maybe you want to join a hiking group. Where do these guys who hike hang out? Because I'm into these hobbies. I'm into these things. These are things that fill my cup. And I want to share those things with other men, right? And those experiences with other men. And that's the best thing, is when you can do activities that you love with people that you love. Whether that's men in your life or your spouse, your wife, but I'm talking more about just like the awesome men in your life who bring you up and help you achieve your goals. Finding where those people hang out, and it's as simple as doing a Google search or finding groups in your city that are meeting weekly, that have weekly meetups, and you can meet up and meet those people. And now that you know sort of what you're looking for, it's much easier to come into a conversation with somebody and really see if they're the type of person that is going to help you achieve that goal, is going to help you bring you up. Because with a social circle, you want it to build you up. You want to be surrounded with people who hold you accountable, push you to achieve your goals, who encourage you, who are positive, right? Because if you're held back by your social circle, it's almost even worse than not having one.
Yeah, wow, great point. Facebook groups, an easy one, right, as well. It's kind of, it reminds me of marketing, kind of coming up with your avatar, if you will. But it's the same thing, applying the same level of intentionality to your personal life. I can really see that the benefit. I remember when I did something similar. And for me, one of the prerequisites was that I could have clean fun with this person or these people. So fun that didn't revolve around us having to get drunk or take drugs or whatever it was that I used to do that I realized wasn't in alignment with the life that I really wanted to live. And, some guys may be listening thinking, yeah, but I just don't have the time for that, or I'm going to get pushback from my wife or whatever it is. I would highly encourage you to just try this out. Even if you just try it for 30 days and just see what starts to show up. It's kind of like before you get a car, right? Let's say you go and get a red car. All of a sudden, you start to see lots of red cars on the road. It's not that there's now more red cars. It's just that you switched on to the idea of red cars, right? So just like this, if you do what Ben says and you take out the piece of paper and write down the kind of friends, men that you want to be surrounded by, and you just give it some focus for 30 days, chances are you're going to start coming across those kinds of people. And you're going to get invitations. And I know for myself, when I first started to get invitations, my knee-jerk reaction was no. Because I felt for so long like I had to work. It was so indoctrinated in me that all I did was gym, work, home. Gym, work, home. And the idea of having fun and the idea of opening myself up to more joy and friendship and laughter in my life was just so far away from where I was at that point. But I also knew that when I did it, guess what? You then, like you said, you're more full. You take that back to the relationship. Not only does it create mystery in the relationship because you become a man that's operating a different way, and the woman in your life is like, what's going on over there? It's kind of one of the reasons why the live as a king system works so well, because it's like a pattern interrupt. And it's the same thing with this. And when you start to continue to do these things consistently, you then have interests. You have things to talk about as well with your wife other than work. One of the big reasons, I bet, why, I'll speak for myself, early on when you get with a woman, part of the reason why you get together is because there's passions there, right? There's interests, there's hobbies. Yet as a relationship goes on, so often it's so easy to slip into this pattern of stopping doing the things that you loved, the things that really formed the fabric of who you are and made you attractive and interesting and desirable to the woman. And you just start to go to work, come home, have a beer, sit on the sofa, watch TV, go to bed. And you wonder why the intimacy starts to go away and the attraction starts to go away. So just imagine what might be possible here if you were to just do what you've said here, Ben. Try it for 30 days. Say yes to the invitations.
Exactly.
And just start accepting and allowing more of this into your life and just see what starts to happen in your relationship. My bet is that your wife starts to look at you a little bit differently, with a little bit more of curiosity and also admiration, because you're following some passions and you've been independent and it's something separate to business. I was walking with Amelia last week, Ben, and you might have seen me put a post about this in Workplace. And we were talking about the nature of entrepreneurs and the personality types. And she was saying, look, Tim, I didn't get with you for your business. I got with you in spite of it. And I was like, oh, what a great line. You got with me in spite of it. Because she knows what it's like to be with an entrepreneur, right? And I know in the past, I've been so focused on business and just let go of my passions and parts of who I was that it's not as desirable. That's harder for a woman to be with a guy like that because he doesn't have as much get up and go. So point being is we often think that the thing we bring to the relationship is the business and the financial way we provide. But often the women are with us in spite of that. So when you start to say yes to things and say yes to the opportunities and surround yourself with these men who lift you up and who are positive, and you go and do things with, and you bring that fullness back to the relationship, it's a way that you're filling yourself up that isn't about business as well, which is way more attractive and interesting to the woman that you're with.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. And it's really interesting when you mentioned like, you get into these habits and these patterns of just going home, watching TV, having a beer or whatever, and just going to bed, right? That is the default state for someone who's lonely and doesn't have friends. And so it's almost like, because it's so easy to slip into that if you don't have activities and stuff and things you're doing. It's so easy to slip into that default state of just, having this routine that's not interesting, that's sort of just mundane. And so what I really recommend is holding firm on your boundaries of having at least a couple hours a week. Doesn't have to be that much, but having at least like either a whole day or a couple hours a week, couple weeknights, where you are not spending time with your wife, you're just spending time with the boys, or out with your social circle, or doing a fun activity with them. And separate to even bringing your wife along and having couples meetings. That's separate to that. It's just no woman, just you and the guys doing a thing. And that is going to be really, really, really beneficial to adding some excitement to your life, adding some fun, and just adding that, filling up that cup in a way that brings you like so many amazing opportunities. For example, social circles have brought me amazing opportunities. I'm talking career opportunities, business opportunities, just meeting amazing people, going on adventures, like ski trips with the boys, just like meeting just really cool people and experience, like traveling, like just such cool stuff that's enriched my life in so many ways. It's added value to me as a man from having that group of guys. And so don't just think of it as doing it for your wife. Think of it as doing it to enhance every area of your life, because you might meet someone who might bring your business to the next level. You might meet a business partner. You might meet someone who could you'll go on vacations with, who you can drop your kids off for the weekend and trust them with, like some amazing people who add values in your life that you might not even expect. So it's more of a holistic thing than it is just a relationship thing, but the relationship part is huge as well, of course.
I love that. And the reality is, guys, your woman will test you when you go and do these things as well. She'll give you pushback, and we spoke about this on other podcasts, and the way that you handle that test and you explain that, hey, look, the reason why I'm doing this is so that how it benefits her, how it benefits the family, how it benefits you as a man, right? It's not about you being selfish. It's not about you just taking off. But she will test you because she wants to see your level of resolve, right? How committed you are, how integrous you are to your word, and go in there. So just bear that in mind, guys, as you go about doing this for the next 30 days. Ben, I've loved it. I think you've delivered a really great insight. I really appreciate you bringing this topic to the table. So guys, as we've said before, head over to thepowerfulman.com/bonus. There's a free training there that you can download. We do mix them up every so often, so honestly, I don't know which one is there. But what I do know is that we get some great feedback on them. And if you want to surround yourself with more men who are like you, then you might even want to head over to the Facebook community. It's not for all guys, it's not for every guy, but for the guys that are in there, it's a really great place where you can share your struggles, your wins, you can celebrate. It's a really great place to be, and you're gonna see Ben, you're gonna see myself and Doug. And it's all about who you surround yourself with, right? So, Ben, again, thank you. And guys, until next time, have a fantastic day.